Quick little preamble here to all those people that are constantly saying, you don't do Warhammer videos anymore. Well, I've got the next best thing. Warhammer in real life. We're going into ancient Rome today. Oh, step into my time machine, guys. And the reason we are is because it's pretty much an ad for my next stand-up show, which will be revealed in the following dates because I don't actually know what they are off the top of my head. Isn't that shocking? A man that sits in a gamer chair as a fully grown adult is doing a stand-up show about Rome. Enjoy, guys.
Today we're going to stray away from our usual content of trying to remove the current New South Wales government and fulfill my darkest, deepest desire, becoming a modern history teacher that sometimes gets roped into playing handball with the year 9s. This is Rome Total War. I obviously stole the title. I love Roman history, and no, I'm not going to do the online autism test. I'm too scared. I like Roman history and aquariums that their magical aquascapes soothe me after a hard day of failing to read people's facial expressions. But the more I revisit Rome, the more I understand that the entire point of The Wire is even truer than they thought it was of faces change, but the game stays the same. The game, ladies and gentlemen, hasn't changed in 2,000 years. Suppose I shouldn't be shocked as the Olympics are even older. Anyway, to show you why, we're going to start with one of the dodgiest characters in history. This is Jugurtha, a story of power and bribes, plus some assassinations and warfare. Now, I don't want to see any snarky comments about, this is history, bosh history. We get it. You're in year 12, dickhead. Go play some touch footy and be too scared to approach a girl you like. It's ancient history. If you have even one source from the time, you're lucky. And we're doubly lucky that our one source was Sallust, who was trying to write about Jugurtha purely to prosecute the case that Rome was corrupt. He was the ancient world's me. What a better time that was, where the only source we have is me.
Why would you need more than one source if it's the truth?
Now, from what we know, Jugurtha was the ancient world's version of South Park's Saddam Hussein, and because we can't find any good pictures, we're just going to use his head as the official avatar. And if you've got a problem with that...
Hey, relax, guy.
Jugurtha was the nephew of the king of Numidia, which is this part of North Africa here. He was very popular, just like Saddam. So popular, in fact, that his king uncle, and not in the same way your uncle's a king, he actually was a king, started to get worried that he was overshadowing his own sons. And so he sent Jugurtha over to Spain to help out the Romans with their campaigns and, you know, hopefully get killed. Wouldn't that be great if that was still the societal norm? Just telling your housemate you don't like, hey Tim, you know what a bee eats? If you claimed your honour in a far-off military campaign. Oh yeah, that would be sweet. All it did in practice is help Jugurtha make powerful friends in Rome, teach him about Roman diplomacy and military tactics, and most importantly, he learned Rome's ultimate weakness. Bribes. Now, you might say that because this is from a source that is trying to prove that Rome's corrupt, Rome's actual ultimate weakness was serving turkey that was cooked inside a pig. But Italy is notoriously corrupt today. Is it that much of a stretch to think that back when the only trace of your corruption would have been some wax tablet locked away in a room that only other corrupt officials could access, might not be a political system that is entirely above board? Let me put it to you this way. It would be remarkable if you could go back then, return to now and report,
No, I went through all the documents.
How did you read them?
I taught myself Latin in about half an hour. And it turns out every decision they ever made was squeaky clean.
And then Jugurtha pops through the portal you came through and hands you a big bag of silver coins.
Oh good, my laundry is done.
When Jugurtha got back from killing Spanish people, which I've been to Bondi, I empathise with the struggle. The Roman general he fought alongside, Scipio, famous as in his own right, gave Jugurtha a letter of appraisal saying that old King Micipsa should adopt him as his official heir, essentially recommending him to be king of Numidia. Incredible. That would have been like if George Bush Jr. was willing to be called as a reference on your resume to work at Adelaide Zoo. It's good. It's a good job. But is it, if you'd like a reference, here's a former president of the United States good? I think that. I honestly think that being the king of Numidia is on par with feeding Emperor tamarins at Adelaide Zoo. I don't know which one I'd pick personally, but obviously, King Micipsa had no choice. This was Rome politely saying, adopt him as your heir or else. So he said, all right, when I die, him and my two sons, the three will share power equally. But for fuck's sake, the police broke up. What chance did they have of governing a country together? It was obvious that the most talented would go solo, and Jugurtha was clearly Sting. The other brothers tried to nullify Jugurtha's adoption, so Jugurtha had the first brother, Hiempsal, assassinated. That was obviously the Andy Summers of the band. To keep the metaphor going, that was the ancient world Sting handing Andy a Best of Police album when he was out on his ass begging Sting for money. By killing him, Jugurtha was essentially saying, "Your best years are behind you, man." Now obviously, Jugurtha killing his half-brother isn't anywhere near as brutal as Sting doing that to Andy, but then again, what can you expect from a man whose name is Sting? He's obviously going to be the harder of the two. Jugurtha's name, on the other hand, means one who exceeds. And exceed he did. He then attacked the second brother, Adherbal, and so Adherbal, how boss is this, ran away to Rome and had a sook. Boss. Rome then basically fulfilled the role of your year 5 teacher when Tyson and Jared got caught sack-whacking each other under the desks.
Right, you two separate yourselves. One over there, the other over there.
They gave Adherbal the poorer, less developed half of Numidia, while Jugurtha got the lion's share by bribing everyone in the Senate. Jugurtha had already been sending lovely gifts and donations of gold back to those senatorial friends he made while he was campaigning in Spain. And it didn't take long before Jugurtha thought, well, having the eastern suburbs isn't enough. I also want Blacktown for some reason. And so he started prodding into Adherbal's territory with sporadic raids, trying to provoke a war. And when Adherbal wouldn't bite, he thought, fuck it, I'll start a war anyway. Precedent, that time you didn't crawl under my legs when we were playing Stuck in the Mud as kids. Brother never forget. He then sieged Adherbal's capital, so Adherbal did what every rich, spoiled kid does, had yet another cry. He's gonna kill me. He sent word to Rome. I think the Latin translation was, Bart, do something. Envoys were dispatched yet again, but the envoys only met with Jugurtha, so 3 guesses whose side the Senate was on. Even though you only need 2 guesses, as if you remember correctly, Jugurtha's a little regicidal who killed his other brother. Now, when Jugurtha saw that these envoys were only really there because,
you know, these Numidian sands are making my toga awfully dirty.
oh, well then, maybe you'd benefit from some clean laundry.
Oh good, the senators will be so pleased with their fresh togas in this laundry bag. You gonna lift the siege, Jugurtha?
No?
Well, we tried. Sometimes you can't hammer things out with words, you know?
They leave. Jugurtha captures the city, which in my mind looks exactly the same as the city of Canterbury. Maybe with a little more electricity than modern day Canterbury actually has. Jugurtha and his men kill Adherbal, and while doing so they make this fatal error. They kill a bunch of rich Italian merchants that lived in the city. Why? Why would you kill the only other people the Roman senators would actually care about, which is other people that give them bribes? So this is when Rome gets pissed. They send over a consul, one of the 2 big boys back then, along with an army to bring him to justice. And that justice was, for the crime of a killing spree, Jugurtha received a fine of 30 elephants, no less. I mean, there was some cash, but elephants? What a hilarious currency. Imagine if today you could pay at a shop with Visa, American Express, elephants. Oh, sorry, we don't accept Discover Card though. Sorry about that. And in classic Jugurtha style, when the consul buggers off, he leaves behind a small force who also get bribed. And they give him his elephants back. The Bitcoin of the day. Tradable anywhere, anytime. Elephants, the original EFTs. I told you it was a tough call between being the king of Numidia and working at Adelaide Zoo. This time, it's not just the upper class of Rome that is ensconced, it's also the people, and they call on Jugurtha to see trial. So they bring him to Rome, and again, he bribes even more senators. So before the trial is about to commence, the Senate's fogies rock up, donning their freshly laundered togas, saying,
Trial's off.
"But why?"
Because it's, after 4, and as we know, it's implied in the Constitution that you shouldn't try kings near dinner time.
But our constitution isn't written.
Yeah, that's why everything's implied. Did Jugurtha do our laundry? Okay, put him back on the ship.
And amidst the boos and jeers of the crowd, Jugurtha, ancient O.J. Simpson, gets back on the boat, back to Numidia, where he famously says, looking back at the shores of Rome, a city for sale and doomed to quick destruction if it should find a buyer. Dude. Exactly what I think every time I see Barangaroo along Sydney's skyline. Anyway, the plebs make enough noise that the Roman Senate was forced to act again. I really empathize with the ancient plebs of Rome. Dealing with them reminds me of dealing with local council when you get a fine. Eventually, the senators say, all right, if it means that much here, we'll send in the big guns. We'll send in Metellus. Metellus was famous for his honesty, could not be bribed. He decides not to engage Jugurtha in battle. He sort of just starves him out. There was an attempt of negotiations, but Jugurtha, being a cheeky little shit he is, pulled out at the last minute, accepted to get any conditions and just f***ed off to the mountains in the south. But as always, this type of military strategy is a bit lame, and so Metellus' right-hand man, who, God, I love this guy, Gaius Marius. Look at the bust of him from famouspeople.com. You think Kevin Smith is going to be on famouspeople.com 2,000 years from now? If you like this stuff, press the like button. We'll go into Gaius Marius' story in depth because he was a truly remarkable man. He was kind of like the Windows 95 version of Julius Caesar, and if there wasn't a Marius, there wouldn't be a Julius, as confirmed by Sulla. But anyway, he was still a bit young, basically does a bit of backseat driving and whines, "Oh, you're taking ages, Metellus, just fucking kill him." Marius then gets himself sent back to Rome, gets elected consul, comes back, tells Metellus to fuck off, and then, when he's in the driver's seat, does exactly the same thing. Because look at this place. Is it Afghanistan or not? What else are you supposed to do with that terrain? Jugurtha gets pushed so far back, though, that he aligns himself with Bacchus, who's the king of Mauritania, which Now, I know for a fact I would rather be working at Adelaide Zoo than being the king of that. So he struck up negotiations with the Romans. The Romans say, we're perfectly happy for you to keep your sand. You can have that, king of Mauritania. Just give us Jugurtha. He then sneakily goes about making sure Jugurtha knows what he's done, but is happy to hear a counter-offer from Jugurtha. It's like an auction. He's basically saying, hey, have you got a better offer on your own life? Jesus, and I thought Sydney auctions were brutal. Evidently he didn't, because Bacchus then captures Jugurtha, gives him to the Romans. Marius then parades him around Rome naked, rips his earring out of one of his earlobes, chucks him in a cell where he was either strangled or starved to death, but because it's just more brutal, let's just go with starved. The moral of the story is, one man who is rich is about equal to all the power and military might of the mightiest nation on earth. If you have money, you really have to go out of your way to anger a lot of people before anything will happen to you. Which is why 50 Cent had it right when he said, I shit money, it smell like Benjamins, it boosts my adrenaline, go head f*** around, I got marksman hit money. Not sure what that means, but In the Club was a banger, so what a poet. Anyway, if you want me to do more of these Rome Total Wars, I can. Believe me, I can. Because you know how you have childhood memories? I have these stories in my head.
Please share and comment below. Comment.